What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Cage My IQ. Yes, that's right. We got a new intro now for you guys. I'm so happy that we got that put down right now. But let's get going and get started with our UFC 277 Julianna Pena versus Amanda Nunes 2 4 card breakdown. But as always, I'm your host, Cage, and this is my co host, Jim. How's it going, Jim?
Going good, man. I love the intro. I also love this card, so I'm ready to go.
Before we get started with any of the breakdown, of course, we are Cage My IQ. All I ask for you guys to do, if you haven't done so already, is to follow and subscribe to us on social media. We are on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. As you see down below, please smash the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and the notification bell so you guys get notified anytime we put the content out. And then please smash the like button down below and hit us up in the comment section and let us know what you think of UFC 277. What are some of your shocking picks? What are some of your opinions on our picks? Just give us any of your input and we'll get back to you guys in the comment section. We want to get active with everybody that's looking at the content. And of course, we have a sponsor, which is High Tide Herbal. If you don't know who High Tide Herbal is, check out this video right now.
Offering high-quality, sustainable products with all-natural, lab-tested ingredients, it's High Tide Herbal's mission to help others live the longest, healthiest, and most productive lives possible. Their hemp-derived CBD products have a wide variety of uses, from helping sore muscles to skin hydration and minimizing skin irritation. They generate results based on your specific needs. Elevate your lifestyle with the new wave of wellness. Visit hightideherbal.com to learn more.
That is our sponsor, High Tide Herbal. Let's transition over to the prediction side of things. This is UFC 277. It's going to be live on pay-per-view from American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. We got a 13-fight MMA bout. Let's get started with the first fight on the prelims, as you see right there. We got a men's welterweight matchup between Ryan Kosuke going up against Blood Diamond. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight? And then who do you have winning?
Yeah, I feel this is going to end in a knockout. That just looking at these two guys and their fight styles, I think this is going to be a pretty quick fight. I have Kosk winning this fight. He's got power and good wrestling, whereas Blood Diamond has good kickboxing. He's transitioning pretty well to stuffing the takedowns, but that's still a weakness for him. I see Kosk winning this fight and by taking it to the ground and wearing Blood Diamond down, leading to a second round KO for Orion Kosk.
A big thing with this matchup is the fact that Blunt Diamond is only coming in with 5 or 6
Yeah.
professional fights total overall, and he has gotten a knockout in almost every single one of those. And then in the last fight, he went in, he completely got dominated and shut down by, of course, his last opponent, Jeremiah Wells. But then you got Ryan Kosk, who won his Dana Contender Series fight. He came in, he looked great against Phil Barrow for the first round.
Mm-hmm.
But then he got caught in the second round. One of Phil Barrow's go-to things, which is that power right hand. He caught him with that, and he put him to sleep. I think this is going to be another fight where it's going to come down to who gets that knockout, because I think this is going to be an inside the distance type fight. Kosk is the favorite slightly going into this one, and I think he's going to get it done in round 2. I think he's going to have the faster hands, he's going to have the better experience, and he's going to catch Blood Diamond, and he's going to put him to the mat.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Blood Diamond's reach advantage could also be a difference maker if Kosk gets sloppy with his takedowns, but I don't see that happening if this is going to be such a quick, inside the distance fight. I think it's going to be I don't know. I think it's going to be quicker than a lot of people think.
Yeah, I don't think it reaches the decision at all. But other than that, let's move on to the second fight on the prelims. We got a men's light heavyweight matchup between Nick Negromonte versus Ihor Pateria. We got Niku versus the Duelist. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight, and who do you have winning?
Yeah, this is another one that I think could end pretty quickly. It seems to be the theme when I was going through these fights, that I think there's going to be a lot of quick fights. I'm going with Ihor Potieria in this one. Nick has good wrestling and has the reach advantage, but since joining the UFC, he's only landed 2 takedowns, which for somebody whose background is wrestling, having 2 takedowns in 4 or 5 fights is a little it stands out for me. Um, I think Ihor has the skills to defend the takedowns and keep the fight standing, and he's more well-rounded fighter in my opinion. I could be 100% wrong with this one, and I'm going with my gut, but I feel that Ihor is going to get the first round knockout over Nick.
Yeah, in this fight, Ihor has the 3-inch height advantage, but Nick has the, of course, reach advantage, which is
Hmm.
an interesting point there. Nick is coming in here. He likes to move forward at all times. He has a he has a very good chin. He rarely gets knocked out. He always pressures forward, throw those overhand shots. He throws the leg kicks. He's just constantly moving forward, and he takes shots to give it the shots back. Whereas Ihor is a guy, he has very good striking. He has very good grappling. He can dual use. That's why he's called the duelist. He likes to throw the overhead shots. He has
Yep.
knockout power. The one weakness with him is the fact that he leaves his hands low in fights, and that could play a big factor in this one. But with me, I'm going to go with Ehor by decision. I don't think
Okay.
there's going to be a knockout here. I think if there was one, it'll be Nick knocking out Ehor because, of, like I said, he leaves his hands down low. But in this fight, I think he's going to rack up the volume, avoid those shots. I think he may actually get the fight down to the ground and kind of mitigate Nick on the feet. So I got Ihor Bateria by decision in this one.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if this fight goes to the ground. Like I said, Nick's got the wrestling background, but so rarely is he landing takedowns. It'd be surprising if he takes this one to the ground as well.
Yeah. But let's move on to the second fight on the card. We got a women's matchup between Ji Ying King versus Joshua Edwards. In this matchup, it's going to be contested at flyweight. We got Fire Fist versus La Pantera. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight? And then who do you have winning?
This is a pick'em fight for me, but I'm going to go with Edwards in this one. Kim is on a 3-fight skid and could come out either super intense or super cautious, both of which could put her in a major disadvantage. Both fighters throw high volume, but I feel Edwards is more comfortable on the ground, and with her takedowns, um, and has and the takedowns have been Kim's weakness as of late, in her previous fights. So I have Edwards winning by split decision.
I got Jingling King winning by decision here. This is basically going to be the striking with your hands going up against the leg kicks of Edwards. I feel like both have improved with the takedown defense in their own rights. Edwards has been prone to it as well, but I feel like it's going to be her leg kicks versus the Kim's striking. And in the last fight, Edwards was dealing with a bigger fighter, but she didn't have to worry about the aggressiveness of the striking. It was more kind of counter striking that was coming at her, whereas Kim will be aggressively thrown at her, pushing forward, putting in a lot of volume in her fights. It's just she necessarily could have won last fight if the judges just went against her in the scorecards and
Yeah.
with that one. But I feel like she's going to come at her. She's going to put it out more of a volume. I really don't see that much grappling going on here unless they're just together grappling along the cage. But I still think that Kim is going to be the one who puts up more on the judges' scorecards than Edwards. I could be wrong. Edwards could wind up taking her down a couple times, but I feel at the end of the day, Kim's volume is going to be vastly ahead of Edwards. So that's why I'm going with Kim by decision.
You pointed out her last fight, and even when Kim wins the fight on the feet in terms of volume, she loses the fight due to takedowns. It happened a few times as of late, and It depends on the judging, honestly, and how they value the takedowns. I
Yeah.
think I think Edwards' team is going to see that and say, go for one takedown. She's going to come out full fire fist, go for one takedown, and then you're going to stand with it. I see this one being a split. There's a couple on this card that I think are going to be split decisions, and this is the first one.
Yep. But let's move on to the next fight on the prelims. We have a welterweight matchup between Michael Morales going up against Adam Fugit. We got, of course, two guys who are young in their careers. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight, and then who do you have winning?
First, I'm really looking forward to this fight. This is another one that I feel doesn't go to distance. I have Morales in this one. He's got a ton of power, coming in with 10 out of his 13 wins by KO. Fugit has power as well and has a good ground game, but I see Morales ending this fight early. He's aggressive. He moves forward. He's crisp with his boxing. His stand-up's really, really good. So I have Michael Morales by first round knockout.
I think one of the things in this matchup that's going to be underrated is the judo background of Michael Morales.
Right.
Of course, he learned that from his parents. His parents are judo masters, and that was his first thing that he learned. Then he trained he has wrestling background and then boxing as well, like you said. But Adam Fugit isn't a guy to be slouched with as well because of some of the victories that he had. He did beat Salim Renfro by KO. And then he's had some KO and submission victories under his belt because of his striking and BJJ background. So he's going to present a really good challenge for Michael Morales early. But I feel like if Morales can use his judo to get the fight to the mat, I could see a first round finish by a ground and pound by Morales. I feel like he's going to take the fight to the ground. He's going to get in top guard, and then he's going to just finish him with the ground and pound. The only thing that I feel would be challenging is if Adam can keep the fight standing because he tends to be slow at times starting out in fights. But then as he gets going, he gets better and he gets looser and more aggressive. So the longer the fight goes, I think Adam Fugit will get more into the fight. But if Morales can finish him in the first round, or get going early and then catch him with a couple of good shots, I feel like he can finish him in the first. So I'm going to go Michael Morales first round knockout as well.
Yeah, it's crazy how good this man's stand-up is at such a young age, but such an underrated ground game too, and that we don't get to see.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing him go into deep waters with people and use that judo and that wrestling. But this one I think is a quick one.
Yeah, and just like his last fight against Drowse, he finished him very early
Yep.
because of his quickness with the strikes, and he could do that here as well. But I
Yep.
feel like he might have to use his judo in this fight.
Yeah, he might. And, Adam's a good fighter.
Yep. Let's move on to the next fight on the prelims. We have a men's lightweight matchup between Jakar Close going up against Rafa Garcia. We got Jakar versus the Gifted. What are your thoughts on this fight, Jim? And who do you have winning?
I like this matchup a lot. This is maybe the hardest one for me to pick, honestly. Rafa Garcia taking this fight on short notice could play into his hand. I'm actually going to go with him because of that. Both guys have good wrestling and good stand up, but I see something in Garcia's takedowns and the way that he capitalizes on them more than Drakkar Close does. Garcia hunts for more submissions where Close is more of that traditional wear you down wrestling, ground and pound type fighter. So I'm going to go Rafa Garcia by second round sub. Again, pure gut decision, but I'm going to go with Garcia.
Yeah, Jakar Close has that knockout power,
Absolutely.
but then he has the wrestling background on top of it. But then you got Rafa Garcia who has wrestling BJJ, and then he also has heavy hands as well. But I think one of the things in this matchup that is a glaring point to make is the cardio of Rafa Garcia. Sometimes he hunts the takedown way too much. He winds up wearing himself out because of it. Between that, the hands, and then he's constantly looking for submission. You look right there at some of these fights, especially the Chris Grutzmacher. He took him down 4 or 5 times in the first round. He started to beat him up very well. He almost had the finish, but then Grutzmacher wound up last in that first round. And then because of Garcia being retired afterwards, Grutzmacher took over and was able to win by decision. He did good against Levy, got the decision, and then he looked really good against Runson again with the rear naked choke. But then if we look back at the one loss by Jakar, which was the Dariush fight, he caught him, he almost had him, but then Dariush, who is in the top 5, I believe at 3 or 4, caught him back and then finished him.
But, that was a crazy comeback too.
Yeah, it was a crazy comeback, and that's no mess to Close. It was just a guy that's in the top 4 now he almost finished, and then he come back after almost 2 years off, and he basically beat up Brandon Jenkins. He should have got the finish in the first, and he got it, I believe, in the second. But I think it was a big deal for him to get that fight under his belt before he took this one because of the rust. But I think he comes in there, and I think he goes in there right away. He grapples with Garcia because I feel like they're both going to have the same game plan. I see a first-round finish for Jakar Close. I think he has those knockout power. He's the quicker fighter. I think his wrestling's better. I think the only thing he has to fear is the BJJ of Garcia. But I think he gets Garcia stunned, and he gets him out halfway through the first round.
Yeah, I can't be mad at that at all. This was an underrated tough fight for me. Close is a monster. Dude is a beast. That Dariush fight, that was kind of like the beginning of his ascension for Beneil. And there's something about, I don't know, I see something in Rafa's grappling, but Close has been more aggressive on his feet. He mixes in those takedowns well. Again, like I said, a gut reaction to this one was like, let me go with Rafa Garcia in this one, but I could absolutely see Jakar Close winning this.
Yep. Let's move on to the next fight on the prelims. We got a men's heavyweight matchup between Dontel Mays going up against newcomer Hambe Abdelwahab. We got the Lord Kong versus the Hammer. We're a good nickname matchup. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight, and then who do you have winning?
Yeah, this is another one set up for a knockout. I don't see this one spending a lot of time on the ground or anything like that. Although, Mays has a really underrated judo background, but Mays comes in with a massive reach advantage. I think it's somewhere in the range of like 8 to 9 inches. And Hamdi moves forward and has decent takedown defense, but he's the smaller fighter in this one. He's the faster fighter in this one too. And if he can get in within range, he can knock out Dontel Mays, who tends to come out a little slow at times. So with a little pressure, Hamdi can win this. But I still see Mays clipping Hamdi in the second round and knocking him out. So I'm going Dontel Mays, second round KO.
Yeah, this was a tough one for me because, like you said, he has the long reach and height advantage.
Yep.
And then he has knockout power. That's what he's known for, and knocking out his opponents. But then Hamdi comes in here. He's looked really good moving up the ranks. He has a wrestling background, judo background, and then, of course, his striking. He's one of the first fighters to come in from Egypt.
Yep.
And he's shown how quick his hand movement is. He's knocked out or finished majority of his opponents. I believe all but 1 or 2 that he's finished.
Yeah.
Or I think only one fight has gone to decision of his fights. And one thing that's going to matter here is if he can get inside and grapple Mays and take him down to the mat. And if he can do that, he'll have a really good chance of winning. But if he stays within distance where Mays can use that reach and he can just throw those shots at Hamdi, there's going to be a good chance that Hamdi gets knocked out here. I'm going to go with the slight underdog here. I'm going to go with Hamdi winning by decision here. I think this fight winds up being on the mat majority of the fight. I do see Hamdi possibly finishing him in rounds 2 or 3 by ground and pound. But I think the only way Mays wins is if he knocks him out, which is a good chance. But he's not a guy that's going to put in a lot of volume on Hamdi. I feel like Hamdi has the better striking, the better ground game, and just the better movement. It's just that Mays has the bigger power here. So that's why I'm going with Hamdi Abdelwahab by decision here. He could get caught, but I feel like he's going to withstand all of Mays' power, and then he's going to get inside and get the fight to the mat as much as possible.
Listen, I mean, Hamdi is a very intriguing fighter at heavyweight. All of his fights are wins except for one, which was in the amateur days where it was illegal shots to the back of the head. He's got to get in within that reach. And honestly, you know, Dontel, we don't talk about it when we break down his fights because he is a knockout artist. He does have a judo background, and he does have some grappling background as well. So we really haven't seen that because not many people want to take someone with an 83-inch reach advantage or reach and, you know, a tall guy like Dontel down. But this one's definitely one, like, circled one to watch because
Yeah.
Hamdi's a very intriguing fighter.
Yep. But let's move on to the next fight. On the prelims, we have a men's lightweight matchup between Drew Dober going up against Rafael Alves. And in this matchup, we got Drew going up against the Turn. Yeah, the nickname for Rafael is the Turn. What are your thoughts on this fight, Jim? And then who do you have winning?
Well, I don't understand the nickname, the turn, but whatever. I like this fight. I have Dober winning it. Dober is the higher volume fighter and has knockout power. Alves has been a lower volume fighter, but has found the neck in 2 of his 3 UFC fights and got the submission, which kind of keeps me a little on my toes with this one. I don't see him walking Dober down and snatching his neck, but anything's possible. We thought Dober was done the last fight when he went down and
Yeah.
then came back and miraculously won that one. So anything's possible when Drew Dober fights. Super durable, super tough, puts himself in bad situations, and is able to get out of them. But I'm going to go with Drew Dober by decision.
Yeah, as you see right there, he got the submission victory over Diakese. He lost to Demir.
Yep.
He beat Alejandro Flores by submission. He won by KO and then submission. And then we all know Drew Dober, who has that wrestling background. He's high level with his submission entries. And then Drew Dober has good hands on top of it, whereas Alves is a high level submission artist with the very high level BJJ background, and then he has quick hands as well. He just doesn't use it as much. He looks for the submissions majority of the time, but he does have spotty cardio at times. So that's why I'm leaning towards Drew Dober in this matchup by decision. I feel like Drew Dober is going to use his wrestling to take down Alves. Alves is going to try and get up as much as possible. And I feel like Drew Dober is the guy in this matchup that will be able to control the pace, control the movement, and limit what Alves can do on the feet. Because if Alves can get on the feet, he can look for those entryways and he can lock in one of those crazy submissions that he usually does. But I'm going with Drew Dober by decision here.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Alves is good on his feet, locking in submissions. So Drew needs to watch his back, literally.
Yep, but let's move on to the next fight on the prelims. We got the prelim, featured prelim matchup. We got a welterweight matchup between Alex Moreno going up against Matthew Semmersberger. And in this matchup, we got the Great White versus Semi the Jedi. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight? And then who do you have winning?
Yeah, this is a really good matchup. I'm glad this is the prelim main event. I'm torn with this one because both are pretty evenly matched. Morano has better striking defense, but Semmelsberger comes in with a 3-inch reach advantage and fights in the switch stance, which could give Morano a bunch of different looks. I feel this goes the distance and it's going to be a decision win. And I'm going with Matt Semmelsberger. I almost said Alex Morano. I'm going with Matt Semelsberger in this one. Moreno has thrown a higher volume in most of his fights and can definitely outstrike Semelsberger. Um, and if that's the fact, then I see Moreno winning this one by split. But I'm going to go with Matt Semelsberger. I think this is that second split decision win that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, for Matthew Simmonsberger, he has that knockout power. He's going to have the bigger height and bigger reach advantage. But with his striking, it's more of a singular striking. He's throwing those long hands. Yeah, he tries to knock you out, but he's only throwing one, maybe one or two strikes
Yeah.
at a time. And he's really good in the clinch. You saw last fight against Fletcher. Fletcher was dominating him with the grappling, but he was able to kind of reverse it and do a lot of his damage on the mat on top of him to get that late victory over Fletcher when we thought Fletcher was going to easily win that fight. He has good cardio, more so because of the fact that he's throwing only singular strikes and then he's kind of patient with it. Whereas Moreno, who underestimatedly has good grappling,
Yep.
used it early on. He would get one or two takedowns a fight, but since then, on his win streak, he hasn't really grappled or wrestled that much. He's stuck to his striking, which he has quick hands, he has good movement, he puts in a high amount of volume, and that's been his mainstay on this 4-fight win streak that he's been on. It started with the Don Cerrone fight where a lot of people got shocked that he got the win, and it's just gone up and up and up. He kind of starts slow in fights, though, but as he gets going, he gets faster and faster. I see Alex Moreno win this by decision here, just for the fact that he pours in a high amount of volume. I do think there's a chance that maybe Semmersberger can knock him out. That would be his path to victory. But I think it's kind of crazy that Moreno is a plus 135 underdog, considering he's on a winning streak that he's on and he's fought good competition, whereas Semmersberger is on a 2-fight win streak where he has the one loss, even though it's to Semmersberger, but Semmersberger definitely exposed that singular striking of his in that matchup. So I'm going with the underdog here. I think there's value in picking him in this matchup as long as he doesn't get knocked out.
Yeah, I thought this was actually going to be a pick 'em when it came down to the odds, and then I saw that the odds were in favor of Semelsberger, and I was like, wow. I was a little shocked at that one as well. That one's going to be a good fight, though. That's
Yes.
it's a great card, but that's going to be a really good fight.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. But let's move on to the main card here on 277. The first fight on the main card, we have a men's light heavyweight matchup between two top 10 fighters. We got Magomed Ankalaev versus Anthony Smith. We got Magomed versus the Lionheart. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight, and then who do you have winning?
Yeah, this is a good matchup at light heavyweight. I'm going to go with Magomed Ankalaev in this fight. Smith is coming off an injury and a year layoff, which played heavily into my decision. Ankalaev has power. He's got good grappling. He's got good striking defense. We've all talked about it. The one loss is the Paul Craig, who we all know is a great grappler, although, made me eat my words last week against Volkan Oezdemir. But
Yeah.
Ankalaev's accuracy is good and Smith is hittable. He absorbs about 5 strikes per minute. So that's something to look at too. So I have Magomed Ankalaev winning this one by decision.
Yeah, as you see right there, Magomed's coming in 17-1. Anthony Smith 36-16. We've seen Magomed beat Thiago Santos by decision, Volkan by decision. You got Krylov by decision. You got Kudalaba, he knocked out twice.
Yeah.
Whereas Anthony Smith fought 7 months ago. He subbed Ryan Spann. He knocked out Jimmy Crew. He knocked out Devin Clark. He subbed Devin Clark. But then he had 2 losses to Rakic by decision and then Glover Teixeira by KO. And then in this matchup, it's going to be Anthony Smith. He has a good ground game. He has a really high level BJJ. He has good striking. His knockout power has kind of diminished a little bit, but he's been able to kind of transform his game plan into a more grappling heavy attack that second that he uses the strike and secondary to kind of initiate that, and then he's been using the submission game to kind of neutralize his opponents. Whereas Magomed is really good in all levels. He has a good grappling, he has really good striking, he has good movement, he has good cardio, but he primarily likes to strike. We haven't seen too much of the grappling or submission game. He's one of the very few in that Habib proteges that will primarily use his striking first and then maybe use the grappling. He's not grappling heavy at all, but that's why he goes to decision. He's all about his pace. He's all about the movement, and he uses the reach advantage to his advantage.
Yep.
I think he's going to come in there and he's going to pick apart Anthony Smith. He might grapple him up against the cage a little bit. He's going to do exactly what he did against Thiago Santos. But for 3 rounds instead of 5. He's going to dictate the pace. He's going to just out volume in him, and he's going to get the decision victory. That's been his namesake moving up the ranks, is just winning by decision. We've seen against guys who are over aggressive, like Ian Kudalaba, where they get too aggressive and they make a mistake, and then he capitalizes by knocking them out. I don't think Anthony Smith makes that mistake. He's going to be more patient, and that's where the volume game is going to be played, and that's why I think Magomed Ankalaev wins by decision.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, man. Smith is still a great fighter, but those injuries, man, he had a hand injury, reconstructive knee surgery. Like, those things are a lot to worry about, especially going up against a guy like this and the rest of the top 5 in light heavyweight. And to your point about the wrestling and the BJJ, Ankalaev, like, when you fight these, like, the Russian Sambo guys, it's different than fighting like an American traditional wrestler. They're not putting their head in harm's way to a BJJ guy. They're putting their head at the top of the body, and they're like forcing the shoulders into your neck. So and they lock up those legs. It's completely different than our approach. So if it goes to the ground, Anthony's BJJ is really good, but Ankalaev is going to put himself in a position to not be subbed. It's going to be very similar to like the Islam and Charles Oliveira fight. It's a different type of wrestler going up against a world-class BJJ practitioner.
Yeah, exactly. But let's move on to the next fight on the main card. We got one of the most, to me, equal matchups on the card. We got a men's flyweight matchup between Alexander Pantoja, aka the Cannibal, going up against Alex Perez. Jim, what are your thoughts on the fight, and then who do you have winning?
I love this matchup. You're right. It is a pretty even matchup, and both are coming off big layoffs, and they match up really well. I can't get over this matchup. When I saw it on the card, I was more excited for this one than most of the other ones because the flyweight division is booming right now. I'm going with Alex Perez in this one, actually. Pantoja has been solid in his last few fights, mixing in strikes and takedowns, but he's been more of a decision fighter. Perez, on the other hand, capitalizes on his takedowns and just outworks his opponent on the ground. So he's been a finisher versus the decision. But the thing about this fight is Pantoja's never been knocked out and he's never been subbed. And those are two things to look at here. And with Alex Perez being a finisher, I had to see, like, is he capable of subbing or knocking out Pantoja? And I don't think that's going to change here. I think it's going to be a decision win for Alex Perez.
As you see right there, they have similar heights, but then Pantoja has a 3-inch reach advantage. Pantoja lost to Askar by a decision, and then Davison Figueiredo by decision in a fight where that one knockdown was a big difference in that fight in the first round, whereas the Davison Figueiredo subbed Perez, and then he also lost to Joseph Benavidez by a KO. TKO, but just like you said, Perez has heavy hands, he has good movement, he has good takedowns, and he has good transitions, whereas Alexander Pantoja has decent hands, he has good movement, he has high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he's good on the mat. We saw the last fight where he had great transitions, he had great submission defense, and he was able to ride out just the back and forth counter and in his last fight to get that submission victory. Like you were saying, a lot of his fights go to decision, but we were showcased to a lot of his submission game where he can come at you with different subs, the rear naked choke, the guillotine, the armbar. And the one loss that Perez had lately was to Davison Figueiredo. And what happened there? He was too over aggressive on the mat, and he got caught into a submission, and he was forced to tap. And that's why I'm going with Alexander Pantoja by second round submission. I feel like he's going to be too over aggressive, and he's going to leave himself open several times when he gets a takedown for a submission. And I think Alexander Pantoja capitalizes that. He locks in a guillotine, and he picks up the victory in the second round.
Okay. Yeah, this one comes down to like conditioning for me. You know, Pantoja coming off with a year off layoff, and Perez having 2 years off. Like, you would think these guys are ready to go 10 rounds. I'm just curious to see how their gas tanks hold up.
Yep. But let's transition to the next fight on the main card. We got a men's heavyweight battle between the 6th ranked Derrick Lewis going up against the 13th ranked Sergey Pavlovich. We got the Black Beast versus Sergey. What are your thoughts on this fight, and then who do you have winning?
Yeah, this is a great matchup and a really good litmus test for Pavlovich. His last 3 fights have been against guys who aren't in the UFC anymore. While Derrick Lewis has been a top 10 fighter for the last few years, gone up against champions, fought for the championship twice. We know who Derrick Lewis is. But we also know that Lewis's chin has been his weakest lately. And Sergey has power, but Derrick Lewis is a vet and has the experience of facing the next surging heavyweight. We just talked about it with the Chris Daukaus fight. But then we talk about Sergey Pavlovich as this surging heavyweight who could be clipped because he's too aggressive or because he has too many layoffs. I still see Sergey winning this fight. I just think he's aggressive, he's powerful, he moves well. I know this fight's in Texas, and the last time they were in Texas, I'm pretty sure Lewis got knocked out. I see this happening again. I think Sergey wins this second round knockout for Sergey Pavlovich.
Both times he got knocked down in Texas.
Yeah.
But coming into this fight, of course, he's going to have the 12-pound weight advantage. They both have the same height. Sergey Pavlovich is going to have the big reach advantage. That's where I think this fight is going to play heavily into his advantage here. We all know Derrick Lewis. He's been throwing those high leg kicks to kind of keep his opponents at bay. He has that knockout power. He's a guy that you don't want to underestimate. But I feel like everybody's going to underestimate Sergey Pavlovich in his matchup because of his long layoff. He did come in last fight, and he fought Shamil, who is still in UFC. He's booked in a couple of months. But Sergey comes in there, and a lot of people forget that he has that Sambo background because in all of his fights, the fights have gone to finish in the first round and a little bit of the second due to knockout. He all of his fights he's won have been by knockout, and then he got knocked out by in one of his last fights to Alistair Overeem, which he did have Overeem stunned, but then Overeem hit him back. And in this matchup, if he does get hit by Lewis by being too aggressive, he could be knocked out that same way. But he has that big time reach. I feel like he's going to come in there and look to do kind of what Tai Tuivasa did. Pressure him against the cage. You want to make Derrick Lewis move backwards and not him move forwards. We've seen in fights where he's moving forward, he is dominant, but when he's moving backwards, that's when Derrick Lewis starts to struggle a little bit because he can have a little bit of that torque on his knockout power taken away from him because he's not stepping forward. And that's kind of what happened in the Tai Tuivasa fight. Tai Tuivasa was catching some shots, but it wasn't that full-class power because he was being pushed back. It was all in the cage, and it kind of allowed Tuivasa to take shots and then throw those elbows, which wound up being the end of Derrick Lewis in this matchup. And Sergey's the guy that can match the power, can match the movement. We just don't know if the fight goes long into the second, third round, how he's going to look compared to Derrick Lewis. He should look better, but we don't know it yet. And I would like to see if maybe Sergey Pavlovich looks to take down Derrick Lewis, because even though he's a bigger guy, that Sambo background is all about getting your opponent moving backwards and then use that backwards movement to take him down. And how Derrick Lewis would do if he got taken down. We haven't seen that much lately. But I think Sergey Pavlovich gets this done with the first round knockout. I was toying with the idea of going with first round submission because I feel like he could take the fight to the mat. But I think this is a heavyweight battle. They're all about the knockout. So I'm going to go with Sergey Pavlovich with the first round finish.
Yeah, I feel like if Sergey wins this fight, he can prepare for the takedown in the next fight because I see the winner of this fight getting Curtis Blades. I know Curtis Blades is saying he's not going to fight Tom Aspinall and risk his ranking, but he's not going to get a title shot either based off of that win. So he's got, I feel like the winner gets this one. There's also a couple of fights that Pavlovich was supposed to be, that was scheduled for, that I would love to see in the future. A fight against Cyril Gahn that was rescheduled, or that was dropped, and a fight against Tom Aspinall. Those two fights, man, they were dropped on his schedule, but they would be bangers. Just thinking about where they're at now.
Yeah, and maybe it worked out to their advantage because now we can see him possibly move up and then have that fight later on. And it's crazy to think that with the odds, both Lewis and Sergey are minus 110, so it's an even matchup. You would think that a lot more people would be on Derrick Lewis because he's been a very active fighter. He's a fan favorite.
Yeah,
and
hometown fighter.
A home state fighter, and Sergey has only fought once in the last 2 years. So I think that says a lot to the potential of what Sergey Pavlovich can do compared to just how great Lewis is and what he's done. So that's something that I didn't look past in this. It was a glaring thing to me, and then that's why I leaned towards Pavlovich in it. But I wouldn't be shocked if Lewis was able to get that knockout, though, because he always has that one knockout power chance in fights. It's just I feel like the speed should be on Pavlovich's side, and as long as he pushes forward, like I said, he should be able to do more damage.
Yeah, he's got to keep his hands up though, because the moment he drops those hands, Derrick's gonna drop him.
Yeah. Let's move on to the co-main event of the evening. We got the UFC interim flyweight championship matchup between Brandon, the assassin baby Moreno versus Kai Kara, Don't Blink France. This is their second matchup, the rematch. Jim, what do you think of this fight, and then who do you have winning?
Love this matchup. Love this fight. These two fought in 2019 with Moreno winning when he was an underdog in the fight. And a lot has changed since then. But the same could be said for Kai Kara France too. I don't think a lot of people saw him, rising so quickly. But I'm going to go with Moreno to win the second one in this one as well. But I could see Kai winning this one too. This is such a tough one for me. Moreno is the more aggressive fighter and shoots for more takedowns. And then you add in the training that he's been doing at Glory. He's kind of switched up camps and went to work with James Krause. So I think he's, that approach could be intensified because Glory is a heavy grappling camp, but they're also good with the stand up, and he's got tons of guys to train with his size too. Kai has great kickboxing, very durable. We saw it in his last fight against Askar, where he showed his great takedown defense, great submission defense, and just how strong and durable he is. I see this one going off 5 rounds and Moreno winning by decision.
Yeah, Kai Kara France has improved his takedown defense going into that fight. That was one of the lingering issues with him going in against Askarov was can he defend the repeated takedowns? And he was taken down once or twice, but other than that, he did very well in that, and he was able to kind of counteract that point in times where we thought Askar was going to win by the quick striking that he was able to do. He was able to stun Askar a couple of times. He was good at range. He has the quick hands, the quick movement. Of course, we all know he trains at City Kickboxing, so we know how all those fighters are training wise. But then you got Moreno, who has very good boxing, very good hands, good movement. He's been in all these championship fights, so he has the experience at 5 rounds, where France has no experience
Right.
or little experience at 5 rounds. But then you add in the fact that he has a good BJJ, and now he's training at, like you said, Glory at MMA. But the big thing there is that the strikers that go there have done vastly better than the grapplers who have gone there to harness their grappling. They've been able to, those strikers have been able to add that grappling background to their striking to make them kind of more overall a better fighter.
Yeah.
So I think he's doing this. I think he was already going there, but going there is a great move for him, because France is going to have to deal with all aspects of the game. He's going to have that training with the grappling to throw that chance that he could try and take him down. And I think Moreno is going to use that to kind of fake the takedowns and then throw those counter shots. He's going to fake and shoot, and he's going to try and match the speed and the volume of France. I think France, volume wise, is just a little bit better. But now you're going to have to take this to 5 rounds instead of 3 rounds. And that's why I'm leaning towards Moreno by decision here, because I feel like both of them are going to hit each other. They're going to hit them with good shots. They're going to have high volume matchup. But I think the fact that Moreno has that big time 5 round experience, that we know what he can do. We know he doesn't tire out. We just don't know how France is going to do with those 2 extra rounds. So I'm going with Moreno in this matchup, because if it's like the first matchup, and now it's 3 rounds, it's going to be very close. But I always give the edge to the guy who has the more experience. So Moreno by decision.
Yeah, I'm with you on that same outcome. This is a hell of a fight, though. I
Yeah.
love both these fighters. I'm so glad this matchup is finally happening on the championship platform. Both these guys truly earned it. Moreno got cut from the UFC and made his way back up. He's one of those success stories. So I'm really looking forward to this one. This one I have circled down as fight of the night, honestly.
Yeah, it could be, because it's 5 rounds now. And I could see France winning this still, because of his
Likewise.
movement and if he could catch him. But I was kind of surprised when they made Moreno minus 205 favorite to the plus 175 underdog of Kai Car France, because Kai Car France has looked great the past few fights, coming back, and now he gets this title shot coming here. And a lot of people didn't think he was going to beat Garbrandt. He knocks out Garbrandt,
Starched him.
and a lot of people didn't think he could win a decision against Askar, and he beat him by decision. So now he gets that rematch with Moreno, and we can see if he can win it or not. But I'm still going with Moreno.
Yeah, they say don't blink when Kai Car France fights. Don't
Yes.
sleep on him either. Dude's a beast.
Yep. But let's move on to the main event of the evening. We got the UFC Bantamweight Championship rematch between Julianna Pena, the champ, the Venezuelan vixen, going up against Amanda the Lioness Nunes. Of course, we know the first matchup in this fight, where Nunes got started hot first, and then kind of stunned a little bit Pena, but Pena was able to recover. And then we saw Nunes kind of slow down, and then that's when Pena took over with the striking and the grappling and pulled off one of the biggest upsets of UFC history in dethroning Amanda Nunes. But what are your thoughts on this rematch, and then who do you have winning this big-time matchup?
Well, I've been waiting for this rematch since the first fight.
Yeah.
This is a fight that could solidify Pena's name as one of the best female fighters and dispel all the people saying that the first fight was a fluke.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a fluke, but I see her losing this fight. I think the first fight humbled Nunes, who underestimated Pena. She came in talking a whole bunch of mess, saying how Pena wasn't going to stop her. Pena was backing up that, meeting her with the same energy, saying she had every tool to take her down and submit her, which she did. I also think that Nunes is coming in with a new approach. She looks cut in her recent Instagram posts, and it looks like she's coming in with a brand new game plan, clear head. She looks lean, she looks strong. So I'm going to go with Amanda Nunes by third round stoppage. I think she's going to come in hungrier. It could play out the exact same way, and Pena has the blueprint. Get her to the ground, choke her out. But I think a hungrier lioness is going to win this one.
Yeah, we got Pena, who's coming in here with the high level Brazilian Jiu Jitsu background, submission artist. She's very tall, and she has underrated hands. We saw that against Nunes. She was able to hit her several times. But then you got Nunes, who has that power. She has knockout power. Her shots stun all the other women. She has underrated grappling, wrestling background, and she has a complete, just a complete background. But she has shown that she has cardio issues at times, and that's what happened in the first fight. She came in, wanted to finish Pena off early. And she wanted to throw a lot of those shots, and she kind of tired herself out. And I think with the back and forth talk on the show, where you could tell them just jarring at each other, that she's going to come in here one to prove a point that she didn't lose because she wasn't better. And I have a feeling she's going to come in here more aggressive in this fight than she did in the first fight. And I feel like that could be a detriment to this matchup, because if she is too aggressive and Pena can just withstand the shots like she did before, Nunes is going to show that cardio issues and the fatigue, just like last matchup. And Pena is the fighter that's going to take advantage of it. I feel like that's going to happen. I got Julianna Pena by third round submission in this one, because unless Nunes, she knocks her out, I feel like Pena has the high level cardio. She can withstand shots. She has a good chin. And I feel like Nunes, the cardio might do her in just like it did last time. But I could see Nunes winning if she is more patient. She's more selective with her striking. And she can look to try and get the fight to the mat and watch out for those bad spots. But I just don't see it happening from what I've seen so far. So I feel like she's going to try and look to knock her out very quickly, and it might backfire on her.
Yeah, I mean, we both have third round finishes. This doesn't go out, doesn't go to distance. I don't know, man. This was a tough one because no one besides Julianna Pena and her camp thought that she was going to win that fight, and she came in there and she humbled the GOAT. So it definitely could go that way. I just see a hungrier Nunes coming into this one.
And another big factor is the fact that she changed gyms and she changed crews. She just did a thorough reboot of her of everybody that works with her. It might not have anything to do with this, but it could be a thing that could be an unknown for her. It could have worked to the better of her to help her out, just the change, but it can also hurt her because she's working with new people, working new schedule and everything. So we'll have to wait and see how it looks once they get to the fight. I just feel like Pena is going to come in on a high. She's going to be more patient. And it's just like matchups make the matchups make the fight what it is. And I feel like Nunes has to be able to adapt and be more selective and not aggressive. And I feel like it's going to be hard for her to do so because she's going to want to prove a point. And if she wins by this close decision, she's really not proving a point. And then that would open up the chance for a third matchup to see who's really better, because you have 1-1. Whereas I feel like she's going to come in there, look for the knockout, and be like, I just got that quick knockout. There shouldn't be a third matchup because I just proved myself here.
Right.
So it's all a matter to me how she comes into this fight.
Yeah, if Pena wins, right? Wins the way you think she wins. How drunk do you think Michael Chiesa is going to be in the celebration like last time?
I think all of them are going to be like that. Things are going to be crazy, but I think now it's not as bad of a big time matchup. Because still, I think it's crazy though that in that matchup, Pena was like the plus 500
Yeah.
underdog, but now this time she's plus 230, and Amanda Nunes is minus 275, and Pena is the champion. So I think
Yeah.
she's getting disrespected even more now because even though if the number has gone down, she is the champion. She's already beat Nunes.
Yeah, I
So
think the last time we saw something like that was when Glover was the champ and
yeah,
Fury came in as the.
yeah,
I mean, that's fairly recent, but it was when Jones would return to the division and Cormier was the champion.
yeah.
Cormier was always coming in as the underdog.
Yeah. So that's something to keep in mind of here. But I think that this might be a very good matchup, but
It definitely is.
it could also be one that could end early or go to distance where it's one sided. We don't know, but I feel like people are gonna hike that number up even more, and they're gonna go to Nunez just because of her background.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna say, don't sleep on Pena again because I think she has the skills to get the job done once again against Nunez because she's already done it. We've seen her get stunned by Nunez and recover, and
Yep.
then Nunez try and be too aggressive. Like her game plan just backfired on her.
Yeah, you're right. It's a hell of a fight, hell of a
Yeah,
matchup. Two extremely talented young, well, two women because I think they're our age. I can't say young. They're
yeah.
our age.
Yep. But other than that, that'll wrap things up with today's UFC 277 four-card prediction show with me and my co-host Jim. Before we get going, as always, this is KGMIQ. Please follow and subscribe to us on social media on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. You see the subscribe button down below. Please smash that and please smash the like button as well so we can get the algorithm going. And then please leave us a comment in the comment section to the right. Let us know what you think of our predictions and give us what your predictions are and what the favorites and underdogs you're going with for this card. But other than that, that'll wrap things up with the video today. We'll be back next week with our four-card prediction of UFC Fight Night, which is headlined by a light heavyweight matchup that I'm looking forward to between Jamal Hill and Thiago Santos. But other than that, I'm your host, Cage. This is my co-host, Jim, and we will talk to you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.